Well, good afternoon, everyone. Here we are back again on our Wednesday evening group session for all of those of you who have enrolled in the 9 Paths to Health workshop. We are moving along quickly. This week we have launched our module 7, which is our nutrition, digestion, and herbs, and our module 8, which is the 5 elements as they impact our organs and our emotions to bring them to optimal health. And we have two great presenters for that, which I will talk a little bit about them in a few minutes. But I just wanted to let you know a little bit more about the Alpha Wave Wellness. My name's Eileen Reed, and we've seen each other before. And I'm a registered nurse and worked in the health field, taking care of people who were ill. And when I retired, I felt it was time to focus on what's going to make people well, and therefore moved into the Alpha Wave Wellness and started this program along with 7 other instructors. There's 8 instructors in total, and each one focuses on a different part of a path that takes you to wellness. And those include our focusing on what we call our Yang Shen, which is to nourish and take care of ourselves so that we have the vitality and energy to take care of others. And our body is one of our greatest gifts that we have in life, and that we need to nurture that body. And the way we can do that is through meditation, through correct breath practices, which helps to increase the functioning of our lungs. Also with Qigong, which brings a lot of vitality and energy to the body. Tai Chi, which helps us with balance and harmonizing of the different elements of the body. And then we also have our class that we did last week, matter of fact, on the self-applied massage, as we use the meridian systems and acupressure points in order to send energy to the different organs. And then we have our nutrition and the 5 elements that are being released this week. And our last module will be number 9, which is our Yin Yoga, which will be released next Saturday. So every Wednesday evening, we have a session where people can have the opportunity to ask questions, do a practice if it's something that they would like to do, put in requests in our email structure so that we know what they need to get them through the week. The goal is to do a 30-minute practice every single day during the 5 weeks that this program is going on. And, we talked a lot about finding a space, a quiet, sacred space where you can do the practice, where you can really focus on yourself. And the repetition, the muscles learn how to do the different movements and the different breath practices that we teach throughout the program. And then we implement everything together to come up with a solid wellness plan that you make that's going to work for you. So we're welcoming you here today on our Wednesday evening session. And one of the reasons why we call the program the Alpha Wave Wellness is because the alpha wave is one of the brain waves. It has an electrical pattern that's associated with an activity that is associated with relaxation. Relaxation and a state of consciousness where we can really focus on something that is healthy. It's a time where you're more creative, and it's a time where you go into the relaxation response, where you go into, instead of fight or flight, but you go into a rest, relax, and rejuvenate. And that's the place that we want to be, because that's where the healing takes place. And as you do all these different activities, whether it be meditation or yoga or Tai Chi, or get that nutrition that gives us that energy as well, all of that brings us into a healthier state. So there are many benefits associated with the alpha waves, which one of them, the great one, is lowering stress. Another one is has an effect on depression and our mood. It reduces anxiety, which all of us have some levels of anxiety, and some of it can be very destructive if it becomes chronic. It improves our creative thinking, helps us to do some really great problem solving, and it, more than anything, it helps to the healing capacity of our body. So, with that said, I want to always welcome you back every Wednesday. We're going to do this through the month of March, and then we'll be done until our next launch. But I want to welcome Jezebel, and she is a acupuncture physician. She is incredibly knowledgeable in all of these areas, and she is especially knowledgeable in the area of nutrition and energy. And so I'm going to turn this over to Jezebel, and welcome, Jezebel.
Thank you, Eileen. So hi again, everyone. I just wanted to do a little recap about the importance of nutrition in balancing ourselves. So remember that, each of these different modalities that we use to balance ourselves, they don't work by themselves, right? They have to work in conjunction with everything else. So I encourage you guys, for the videos that you've watched, if you can do just even a little bit of it every day, or apply some of the knowledge that you've gained from these videos every day, and that, will definitely improve your health and your well-being. So in my video, I had emphasized the importance of digestion in the traditional Chinese medicine perspective. They said that the spleen and stomach are actually the center of Chinese medicine, because if you can, and remember that the spleen is equivalent on the Western medicine side with the pancreas functions. So the spleen and stomach, basically the digestive, system, they're very important, because if your digestive system are balanced and well maintained, then all your other organs will actually follow suit. So, which is why it's really important to be careful of what we intake into our bodies. Again, also, I would like to emphasize how important the digestive system is, because also it includes our enteric nervous system. So a lot of what we think and what we do is actually influenced by the enteric nervous system. And also 70% of our immune cells actually come from our gut area, our intestinal area, which means if which means it's another reason why, if we eat good and clean food, that are good for our bodies, then our immune system will also do very well. So just to talk a little bit about digestion. So when we talk about digestion, we're talking about the functions of absorption and elimination. So the nutrition part comes into the absorption part of the digestive function, right? So depending on what you eat can really affect your body, especially your different organs. And then, of course, we have the elimination. The elimination part helps us get rid of the toxins that we might encounter. And the funky thing is, the toxins aren't just encountered in our food area. It can be from the environment, like chemicals from our daily routines, like cleaning, our cleaning reagents. I actually use a lot of white vinegar and water to do my cleaning, and baking soda, which are very natural and there are no chemicals present in it. Um, we get times by how they're processed. Um, we get, toxins because maybe how they're processed again was not very well done, as well as molds and fungus, because sometimes in the crops, when they harvest them, they might not be able to completely eliminate the molds and fungus that might have, grown on these foods, as well as pesticides. Of course, we have that, nowadays. So if you remember back in the days, right, when there were not a lot of these, a lot of people were more healthy, a lot more people ate fruits. They led less of a sedentary lifestyle, you know. So what we eat can really create blockages and stagnation in our body, which I explain in detail in the video. Um, so the body, though, amazingly enough, has a natural way of detoxifying itself, right? So we detoxify by three ways, primarily, okay? Sweating, urination, and through our bowel movement. So the sweating part, this is why it's really important to be in activity that causes you to sweat, because a lot of toxins are eliminated through your pores, even chemicals. Your pores, you can sweat it out. Of course, urination, any excess toxins in the foods that we eat are eliminated through there, as well as through our bowel movements. However, one thing that is really important for our ability to eliminate things properly from our body is our consumption of water. Yep, that's right. Simple, there's nothing that you need to add to that. If you just drink enough water in your body, your elimination system or detoxification system will work, really well. So the recommendation of how much water you should drink is basically half your weight in ounces of water. So let's say you weigh about 160 pounds. So you should drink, so half of that is 80 ounces of water every day. And that's just an average. So, but a lot of even disease patterns can really be eliminated by just drinking enough water, because not having enough water can also create a lot of disease patterns. Um, and then I just wanted to share with you guys too a couple of herbs that will help you. And remember, so with a lot of this alternative stuff, is that the herbs, it's all about vibration when it comes to alternative therapies. Okay, so the smell, the color, all of these things tie into how they affect our bodies. So one of the ones I was going to share is peppermint. So in Mandarin or Pinyin, we call that boha. So peppermint is has a very cold direction. So in Chinese medicine, as I explained on the video, that at different food sections. So boha has cold directions, and it's very good for heat in the liver. So if you're feeling irritable, remember anger is the emotion that goes along with the liver. So boha, drinking like peppermint tea, can actually help with the liver heat, and so the irritation can go down and it can soothe the liver. Another one that I wanted to share, and most people have heard of lavender. Lavender, because of number one, the color. So the color is purple, right? So you should think of purple going along with the crown chakra. the energetic color that's by the top of your head. So it's very calming, both physically and psychologically. So, just taking in these different herbs can help really put things in balance if you need them. And so in the video, you can see nutrition can really help heal the organs, depending on the color, depending even on the taste, and all that kind of things. So leave you with the idea to be careful of what you eat and be careful of what you put in the body, because that can really have a big influence into the health of your organs as well as your body's well-being. And so with that, Eileen, I give it back to you.
Thank you so much for that information. That was really great. Especially, I was not aware that so much of the immune system was created in the gut.
Right.
Wow, that was amazing. And also that information about the teas and the herbs, how healing the smell of those are, both lavender and peppermint, and how they really calm, the whole energy in the body. You've got great information in your video, and it's going to be amazing. You're such an incredible teacher. Thank you so much, Jezebel. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to just now, the next module that we have that came out this week is the module on the elements. Now, Jezebel made a little bit of a reference to the different organs of the body and how what we eat and so much of what we do affects the organs. Each one of the organs, the major organs, also has a correlation to one of the elements. Say, for example, the lungs are associated with the element of metal, and it's also the large intestine and the lungs. Now, the person that does our class is Jessica Colby, and she was with us on our Sunday webinar, but she was not able to be here with this one. However, I can refer you to her website. These are a couple of her videos that she does. She's very well versed in Qigong, and she has a television program in California. And so I know that you're going to really enjoy her class, which is 90 minutes on how and what you can do to help heal your organs. So that would be, and the other thing that she talks about is not only the function of the organ, like, for example, the function, we'll just talk about the lungs and the metal element. The function of the lungs is for our breathing, for our respiration. But paired with that is also the large intestine, which helps us to eliminate things that we don't need in our body. So when you do sounds and when you do movements that correspond and help that energy move, that helps that organ. And then there's also an emotion that's associated with the lungs, and that is grief and sadness. So a lot of times people who experience a situation with grief, they hold that in their lungs. And there are certain movements and exercises and breath practices and sounds that Jessica goes over in the video that helps you let go of that grief and sadness and replace it with courage and gratitude. So that's why this is such an important topic. And then as you go into the kidneys and the bladder, that's associated with the element of water. and with the elimination of liquids and fluids in the body. And also it's associated with the emotion of fear. So we hold fear in our kidneys. So the movements that Jessica shows you in the module are movements to help release the fear and replace the fear with trust. Then they move on to the liver, and in the liver is the organ that has to do with the emotion that's held in the liver is anger. So when you have a lot of anger, sometimes your liver is not functioning properly. So she shows you movements and breath sounds to get rid of the anger and replace that with flexibility. Sometimes when things don't work right, we get angry, but we need to learn to be more flexible. So Jessica goes through each one of the major organs. She also goes through the heart and talks about how joy is for the heart. You know, when you're joyful, you sing, you smile, you feel great. But when you have stress and anxiety, your heart feels heavy. So she shows you sounds and ways to get rid of that stress and anxiety and to have more joy in your heart. So it's a very great traditional Chinese system that works, all these elements work together. And then the spleen that Jezebel was talking about earlier is where a lot of times the worry is harbored in the spleen. And you need to get rid of those toxins from the spleen so that it can work properly and get rid of the worry and replace it with empathy or compassion. So those are all some of the things that Jessica covers in the module. And I know you're looking forward to watching that because she goes into a lot of detail. But just to do one little practice right now for the lungs, and I'm going to just kind of, there's a different sounds that go with the lung. One of them is the sound ah. Another one is shh. Either one, but Jessica refers to the sound of ah. So I want you to do, those of you who are paying attention here, put your hands on your lungs, right at the very top of your, right underneath your clavicle. Put your hands on your lungs, and I want you to make the sound. Take a deep breath in through your nose and make the sound as you're exhaling, ah. Take a deep breath in. Ah. Again. Ah. And one more. Ah. That sound has a vibrational quality that affects the lungs. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a movement to it. So I'm going to move back a little bit so you can see me. It's a pretty simple movement, and we're going to start out. If you feel like standing, you can stand. I think probably it'd be a little better for me to stand. Let me move my computer a little so you can see me. But we're working on mainly on the upper lungs. Okay, so we're going to take a deep breath in, and we're going to focus on the sound when we're exhaling. So the movement is very simple. We start with our hands right here at our lower dantian, and we're going to take a deep breath in as we bring our hands up over to the top of the head, and put your hands like in prayer position. And as you're exhaling, you're going to bring the hands down to the lungs as if you're bringing the energy to the lungs. You're going to open up the hands and push them straight out. Perfect. And then bring them back down. Now this time we're going to add the sound to it, okay? So we're going to take a deep breath in, gather all that energy. And bring them back down. Let's do that again. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Over the top of the head, gather that energy and bring it down to the lungs with a ah. Push out what you don't need, all that grief and sadness, and bring your hands back down. Let's do 2 more. Breath in. And bring them down. Last one. Breath in, gather all that great energy that you want to bring down to the lungs. Bring it down with a ah, getting rid of grief, ah, and bring it down. Great. So we just did a little lung exercise that cleared the lungs. And as you elongate that breath sound, that vibration works out those things in the lungs. So I really just know I'm so glad that you're here with us today, and that we're going to ask if anybody has any specific questions, and I'm going to unmute everybody so that if you have any questions, you can ask them. And if not, Jezebel, can I unmute you? And Dawn, oops, Dawn, I have to unmute you. Dawn, you might have to unmute yourself. There you go, thank you. Okay, great. Well, how do your lungs feel? Vibrant.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I was going to add just a little bit of something to explain about why the sounds that Jessica was teaching in her video actually makes us feel better. If that's okay, Eileen.
Oh yeah, please do.
Okay. So again, all the alternative therapies are based on the vibrations, right? So the different sounds create different frequencies when they affect the different organs. So Eileen mentioned that each of the organ is associated with a particular emotion, like liver, it's anger, heart, it's joy, and so on and so forth. Well, the reason why these sounds help clear and release these emotions. There's a physicist, a female physicist, her name is Candace Pert, in the 1970s, that actually discovered that the emotions that we create in our bodies actually become living matter. So, you know, Albert Einstein and how he discovered the formula E=mc². All that means is that he figured out that energy is able to translate into something tangible, and it's not just, you know, something floating in the air or something like that, right? So whenever we have, like, especially like very traumatic sort of emotions or very strong emotions, after, you know, it could be something really quick, like whenever you have like a car accident or that kind of trauma, or it can be an abuse that's been happening over years. The emotion that is associated with that trauma or abuse or anything like that, or even positive ones. It doesn't necessarily just have to be about negative ones, but for purposes of healing, we're focusing on the negative ones. So at any given time, these emotions, because they're so strong, they actually create matter inside our body. And what does that mean? So she discovered this, Dr. Candace Pert, that these are called nucleopeptides in our bodies. So when that occurs, these matters like create blockages in our bodies. So they basically slow down our circulation, because it's blocking the circulation from wherever it needs to go. And so our circulation is hindered by these emotions. That's why when we talk about acupuncture, we talk about blocked meridians and things of that nature. So the way that these frequencies and sounds that are created for each individual organ is that they raise the vibration in the area of the organs that are blocked, because the blocked areas have lower. If you raise the frequencies in these area, that's how you're able to like break apart these nucleopeptides from the body, and allow our circulation to be less stagnant and to circulate more freely. So that's just a little science on how Eastern perspective views emotions.
Wow, great explanation of that. Yeah, it's so true. Sometimes when something traumatic happens, or even if when we get upset about something, we can feel it in our body. It's not just an emotion. We can feel
Right.
it in our gut. We can maybe not feel it in our liver, but it's there. It's affecting it. And
Right.
that anything that we can do to dislodge that is great for the body and for the healing. Thank you for that information. You're such a great teacher. Well, any other comments or questions? So if not, just so glad that you're here. We're going to also post this probably next week on YouTube so that you can do a little bit of a review on some of that great information. And we just invite you to come to the webinar on Sunday at 3 p.m. And then we'll have one more webinar or one more group session on Wednesday at 6 p.m. So Alpha Wave Wellness just is really tries to be there for you in any way that we can to help you with healing the body, healing the mind, healing the spirit, and just becoming more vital, more energetic, and healthier. So we will sign off for now, unless anybody else has any comments or questions. Okay, and thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next Sunday.
Okay.
Enjoy the module. Bye
Bye.
now.
Namaste.
Namaste.
So I'm going to stop the recording.